All right. Well, we're one day closer than we were yesterday. Is the excitement building? Are there any nerves? Give me the feeling right now.
Still not as many nerves, but yeah, definitely excitement.
I wonder. I mean, you said yesterday, and I believed you. It seemed honest. There are no nerves. I'm just good. Where does that come from? I mean, is that the kind of person that you've always been? Is this something that you've focused on in your growth as a martial artist? Where does it come from?
I'd say the confidence. It's confidence. The nerves. It's hard to be nervous when you're doing everything you possibly can. I mean, they're gonna come and go, but overall, if you do everything you possibly can, you're gonna be confident.
Do the nerves come when you start walking out in the Pepsi Center? And,
no, the nerves come when you're like driving down the road with nothing to think about but nerves. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see when I get there. I haven't done it yet.
I'm interested because I feel like there's a lot of expectations on you. I mean, you shined last time out, and you haven't shied away from saying who you are, what your goals are, all that. But when you do that, it kind of brings, a little bit more attention, a little bit more, maybe even pressure. I mean, do you feel that at all? That like you can't just go in there and have a win. You got to go in there and shine.
Yeah, but this is what I'm here to do, right? So it's kind of backwards to ask for something and then feel nervous or scared about it. I mean, if you're saying you want to do something, you want to do it, and you just got to push through, the nerves or whatever thoughts you have.
You mentioned you had a lot of opponent changes over your career, so yeah. I do wonder, this doesn't bother you, but how much scouting did you do? I mean, your opponent's a little bit of an unknown to most people as well. I mean, how much scouting did you do, and what do you see?
Honestly, I left that up to my coach, Mark Montoya. He did all the super intensive research or, I guess, film watching. But yeah, we just focus on me.
Last question for me. It's obviously we're celebrating the 25th anniversary. You're 20.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first UFC fight you saw? I mean, did right away you say I'm doing that? Bring us back.
I don't remember the first one we watched. We've always watched a lot of them with my family, but for the most part, I mean, I've seen a lot of fights. I've seen a lot of the UFC fights. We even bought the first UFCs and watched them. But yeah, being on this card is huge. It's an incredible opportunity, and being able to be here at home is incredible.
Let me follow up. You said you wanted. I mean, when you saw it for the first time, women's in the UFC wasn't a possibility. So when you saw it, did you say I'm going to do that, or is it just something you did with your family?
It was kind of like the transition in the sport. I started in martial arts and I continued my journey through there, and then I started competing, and because of my competitive edge and not just wanting to stop, at competition level and to actually take it to the professional level. It's the competitive edge through martial arts that really got me going, and then being able to see the fights and seeing how far you can get is really what made me push farther.
Walking around this hotel, you bump into a lot of fighters that I'm sure you've watched on television. Have you had a welcome to the UFC moment? Yeah.
Not really. I just belong here. It's all been a really great experience. So yeah, I've run into a lot of fighters, and at first, when you walk in and you meet them as a fan, you're kind of shy, but now it's like, oh, hey, we're kind of I'm getting closer to your level, I'm here.
And lately, a lot of fighters like Israel Adesanya, like we talked about, maps out his path to the title, but he's doing all the media, he's charismatic, he's keeping his name. I think you said something you wanted to show with your fights rather than talking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really what's happening lately, huh?
Yeah, the more you fight, the less you have to talk. I mean, if you put on a performance that people want to watch, you don't have to tell where you belong, it's going to show.
That said, have you thought about your moment with Joe Rogan after the fight? Have you pictured that?
Kind of, yeah. There's a few things that have gone on in my head, and it's hard because I don't try to stage things that I say, I prefer to just, even if I do try to stage it, it just comes out the way it comes out. So yeah, I've pictured it a few different ways, but when it happens, when I get my hand raised and then when I get to talk to him, we'll figure out what I say then.
Yeah, every fighter says that, they just want to focus on what's in front of them. But you've been saying that you want to be you've been talking about a title for a long time. So clearly you are someone who does think ahead. So do you have
Absolutely.
Do you have the next date in mind? After this, I want to fight on this card, I want to fight this person?
Yeah, there's a few cards actually. There's a few cards that I would like to be on. Preferably a big card. I'm looking at maybe even March 2nd would be a good one that I would like to be on. But the person I want to fight is Mackenzie Dern, actually. She has number 15 spot, and I want that spot. I feel like that's a great fight for me. That's a fight that we're going to win, and that's going to get me, in the rankings, and then next thing is to move on up through the rankings.
Why specifically her though? You could call it 14. You could call it 13.
Because
Why
she
McKenzie?
ducked me in LFA. When we were fighting in LFA, I was offered to fight her, and she turned it down, and I wanted to fight her. And then I was given the opportunity a second time, and she turned it down again. So I feel like now she can't run away. I mean, if she's in the UFC, she has to fight. So that's the fight for us.
Why do you think she turned it down?
Because she's not ready for me.
So what have you thought when you've seen her do well in the UFC and you see some of like the shine that she's getting, people calling her a really talented prospect? What have you thought of it during those moments?
To be honest, I feel like she hasn't fought anyone, necessarily that has given her the matchup that she needs. She's fought a lot of people that are going to give her the opportunity to fight on the ground and put it in her favor. And I'm not that fighter. I can fight standing, I can fight on the ground, and it's a really good matchup for me.
Any benefits besides obvious ones of fighting in Colorado? And what kind of crowd are you bringing? Is it just the family, or are you bringing?
Here in Colorado, no, I have a ton of people. I have a lot of family up in Fort Collins. I have a lot of people down here in Denver. I have the fire department up in Fort Collins that I have a lot of people coming from there. Friends, family, sponsors, local sponsors, all sorts of things like that. I mean, there's a lot of people here in Colorado because I was born and raised here. I've lived here my entire life, so. Hopefully, I'm expecting to have the whole state on my side.
You said you want to fight Mackenzie, but what do you think when she comes in 9 pounds overweight for her last fight? Essentially a whole weight class above.
It's more money for me, right?
Sure.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. Everyone has a different weight cut. That's her business, not mine.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.